Good morning, everyone. My name is Don Mears, and these opening words are based on an excerpt from Emily Dickinson's poem Hope. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. Make room in your hearts this day for hope. Feel its flutter, hear its whisper, and if you cannot, try listening again. Hope's song never ends.
Good morning. My name is Karma Amos, and I'm honored to serve as the minister of the Unitarian Universalists of Central Delaware and to be able to welcome you to worship this morning. We're so glad that you are with us here today. In this extended time of social isolation, when we're not able to gather in person, it's all the more important for us to connect with one another in the ways we can. And if you know of others who are longing for a sense of community, please consider them inviting to join you at UUCD for worship or for another social time. There are two other ways routinely that you can connect with us other than worship. One is at your leisure, asynchronously on Facebook. We have a closed Facebook group for UUCD members and friends. If you're not part of that and want to be, just let us know and we'll help you connect there. And just encourage you to use that as a way to share and to solicit opinions and let others know how you're doing. We also have every Tuesday night at 7 a community check-in via Zoom. And this week we're going to do something special, and I'm going to ask Ricky to say a word about that. Ricky?
Karma, he's out taking the dog out.
Okay, let me say what Ricky was going to say. Ricky's going to be hosting this Tuesday night a game night. It's actually a trivia night, and we're also going to have a holiday ugly sweater contest. So put on your best ugly sweater if you have one. If you don't, the time for creativity. Perhaps you can make one. And Ricky will be hosting us in trivia, and he says he has prizes for the winners of both trivia and the ugly sweater contest. So I hope that you'll join us this Tuesday at 7 for that. I also want to let you know that we are having a Christmas Eve service, and that'll be at 6 p.m. on the 24th of December. If Christmas Eve is something that you are used to celebrating, either because you come from Christian tradition, have been shaped by a culture that has been shaped by Christian tradition, or simply would like to experience that, please come and bring a candle. We'll have a candle lighting portion of that service that evening. And now I invite you to sit back and breathe and hear these sincere words of welcome. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you've been, whatever you've done, however you move in the world, how much or how little is in your bank account, whatever your religious beliefs are or aren't, you and all of who you are welcome in this community. We know that all of us are enhanced by the gift of one another's presence. Welcome to worship.
Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow. We light this chalice as a sign of our dreams, our hopes, our expectations for a better world. Please join me in our unison affirmation. The words should be in the chat box. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Sing a song with me. Come sing a song.
And there was a quote at the end of that video that I stopped too soon that I want you to hear from Desmond Tutu. Give me just one moment to get to that. And he said, "Hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness."
Good morning, I'm Molly Keogh, and I have the privilege of giving you a little piece of the Unitarian Universalist Association, so we can realize that we are part of an association that is services are going on around the world, and we're just part of that. And as I was looking for inspiration, I of course went to the UUA website, and I found a letter that was written just this week by our president, and that's Reverend Susan Frederick Gray. And I won't read the whole letter, but I do think that there is a piece of this that it certainly rang true for me, and I hope that it does ring true for you during this time of challenges and difficulties and hope. Dr. Susan Frederick Gray says, "Now is the time to lean in more to relationships of care and compassion, to lean more into our interdependence, gathering virtually, calling our friends, checking in on each other. It matters. One of the things keeping me rooted these days is remembering to take it one day at a time. It is so easy to focus on what's missing, what cannot be, or the difficult road. In staying attentive to the present, I am able to attend to my grief while also being open to the affirmation of life that is still very much present." And she ends her letter with a poem from a Buddhist teacher, Stephanie Nobel. "Dark is the rich, fertile earth that cradles the seed, nourishing growth. Dark is the soft night that cradles us to rest. Only in darkness can stars shine across the vastness of space. There is mystery woven in the dark, quiet hours. There is magic in the darkness. We are born of this magic." And she ends her letter by sending us all her love and blessings for the holiday season.
Good morning. I'm Carrie McElwee. I'm our president of the Board of Trustees. And now it is time for our joys and concerns, when we offer one another the opportunity to share very briefly what is most in our hearts right now. Life celebrations and concerns. As you do so, we invite you to light a candle in your own space. Through the action of sharing and kindling a flame, we give energy to our best thoughts, meditations, sympathies, celebrations, and prayers. We hold these sacred in our collective hearts. At this time, we invite you to change your view to gallery view in the upper right corner of your screen so that you can see everyone who is here. As you feel led, please unmute your microphone and share your joy or concern, and light your candle if you have one. You can watch the mute signals in the lower left of each person's video stream to see if anyone else is unmuted. It is best if we share one at a time. Please mute your mic again after you have shared. We light one final candle for the joys and concerns that are not spoken by those of us here. and in solidarity for others in our community who could not be with us today. And now, a central part of our worship, in person and online, is the opportunity we all have to practice the art of generosity and the spiritual practice of gratitude. Our gifts to UUCD are what allow this congregation to thrive with a common vision to nurture our spirits, build community, and change the world. We are grateful to you for the many ways you support our community, including your financial pledges and offerings. Your gifts matter, and it's one of the ways that you make this world a better place. Every part of the ministry of UUCD, from the worship that grounds us in our values, to the community gatherings that connect us, to our children's education, to our social justice outreach and actions, are supported by your gifts. Thank you for your passion and your generosity. For those who are making pledges or who want to contribute to this community, you may continue to write checks and mail them to us, or you can give online. There are instructions to do both of these things on our website at uucd.org. Just click Support UUCD in the menu bar. You can do that now during this offering song or any time that is convenient.
To continue on with our theme of hope and to continue on with the words of the president of UUA, I've chosen a centering today that continues with that idea that hope is in the present. And these are a centering out of meditation. So I encourage you to find this moment as a moment to come back to yourself, to bring your mind to your body, to relax, to be present for yourself, to hold yourself in love. And as you relax, you might want to close your eyes. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in, I notice that my in-breath has become deeper. Breathing out, I notice that my out-breath has become slower. Breathing in, I calm myself. Breathing out, I feel at ease. Breathing in, I smile. Breathing out, I release. Breathing in, I dwell in the present moment. Breathing out, I feel it is a wonderful moment. As you continue to relax and meditate for one more minute, consider these words of Thich Nhat Hanh. Our breath is like a bridge connecting our bodies and our minds. In our daily lives, our bodies may be in one place and our minds somewhere else, in the past or in the future. This is called a state of distraction. The breath is a connection between the holy body and the mind. When you begin to breathe in and out mindfully, your body will come back to your mind, and your mind will go back to your body. You will be able to realize the oneness of body and mind and become fully present and fully alive in the here and now. You will be in a position to touch life deeply in this moment. This is not difficult. Everyone can do it. Amen. As you open your eyes and begin to breathe normally, remember that you can keep this practice with you and go to it anytime during your waking hours.
This is a reading by the late UU minister, the Reverend Elizabeth Tarbox. Do not live too far in the past or the future. Live now. In each moment, expect a miracle. 10 kinds of birds at the feeder, in the tracks of a fox in the snow. Pick up a magnifying glass and scrutinize that crocus. See the pollen at the center of a daffodil. Life's dust, death-defying life. Be astonished at the flower, arrested by its beauty. Run naked through the garden early in the morning and hope the wild geese fly by. Get silly and laugh loudly with your grandchildren or your grandparents. Refuse to leave the dead behind, but bring their memory to all your chores and games and corners of quiet, warm tears. Know always that joy and sorrow are woven together. One cannot be without the other. If you love, know that sometimes your love will bring you tears. If you grieve, know it is because at some time you were willing to love. Do not be afraid to die today, but expect life.
This is a time of the year when many religious traditions are shifting their focus and their practices towards those which inspire hope, which is our theme for today. Last Sunday, for example, was the first Sunday of the season of Advent for Christians. Advent consists of the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas, and it is marked by several different traditions that encourage people to meaningfully and intentionally make small steps of progress towards a time of newness. Advent calendars is one of those traditions, and they're opened day by day with little treats or bits of wisdom that remind people that this season is sweet and should be savored, and that making a progressive journey together can be a time of shared discovery and meaning making. Advent wreaths, lighting the Advent wreath is another tradition where candles are lit week by week in congregations, around family dining tables, and in other creative ways this year in particular. And that progression of light likewise marks the movement from hope, which is the traditional theme of Advent's first week, to peace, to joy, and to love. And it's not just Christians that are celebrating a journey of expectation in this season. During Hanukkah, which begins later this week, Jewish people, families, and congregations are lighting the candles of the menorah one by one each night, coming together to remember their ancestors' experience of the miraculous menorah that burned for 8 nights, even though they only had enough oil for 1. And the light of those ritual candles allowed them to participate in, legend says, and to complete the cleansing and reestablishment of the temple that had been desecrated. And the light of menorahs that are lit this year will often be lit as a sign of hope, for renewal, for healing, for a longed for rededication to the heart of their faith and tradition. Those who are attuned to the cycles of the earth and sun and moon are also celebrating in this season a progression of light fading, of light returning. We'll have our own solstice celebration in a couple of weeks to observe this pivot. In all of these traditions, expectation and hope are the predominant principles and themes of this season, a progressive, deliberate illumination of the world, an illumination of our lives, which we long to be made better, more whole, more vibrant, and more purposeful as we move in the direction of our dreams. This year, 2020, which has been so challenging and harsh for so many people, reminds us that we need this more than ever. At least this is true for me. Feels like we really do need an infusion of hope right now in the world and in our lives. We need some signs that there are brighter days ahead, that we can move confidently in that direction for ourselves, for our families, for our collective community. We all need hope. Now, sometimes when people aren't feeling very hopeful, this call to hope, this summons to hope, is not a well-received message. And I understand that. I've been told in certain circumstances in the past that I should not preach some false hope that everything is going to be all right. But you know, I don't really believe there's any such thing as false hope, because woven into the very concept of hope is the reality that that which is hoped for may not come to pass. If we knew for sure, we'd be talking about certainty, not hope. But when things are unknown, we get to choose between having hope or not having hope. That's the simple choice before us. When we cannot summon certainty, we can sometimes summon hope, and hope is better and probably also more productive than despair. Hope is sometimes just what we need, and often hope is more than enough. A number of years ago, I learned a lesson about hope while I was crossing a street in the center part of Guadalajara, Mexico. I was there for a 3-week Spanish language immersion course, and I was, to be clear, a beginner. My vocabulary was and still is quite limited, but I knew the word for hope, esperanza as a noun, and esperar as a verb. So I was really confused when I was about to step out into the street, and a friend of mine who was with me shouted in Spanish, "Espere." And I thought, why in the world is she commanding me to hope? It was the imperative that she was shouting. Well, it turns out that the word for hope and wait are exactly the same. She was telling me to wait because I was about to be hit by a bus. And I asked her before I realized that, why are you telling me to hope? And she said, well, you better hope, because if you don't wait before you step in front of that bus, things are going to get a lot worse for you. Now, I found the experience interesting because I'm a bit of a word nerd. I love words. I love the evocative power of language. And this was a wonderful invitation for me to reflect on the relationship between hope, hoping, and waiting, and also expecting, which, as it turns out, is also the same Spanish word. So in Spanish, the words themselves underscore the fact that hope is a kind of expectant waiting for something longed for. Hoping is filled with that anticipatory energy that sometimes makes a body tremble. One of the best illustrations I can think of to describe that kind of hope is embodied in my dog, Katie. Katie is a little black and white 8-pound Shih Tzu, and my wife, Diane, is her person. If Diane should happen to leave the house or simply be out of her sight in another room or out in the yard, Katie sits attentively at the door or in one of her other perches with clear lines of sight to the door. And she waits so expectantly that if a bug so much as belches in the next county, she launches into a series of high-pitched barks that, if I'm honest, drive me nuts. But I know that she understands hope. She understands waiting and expectation more than most beings, and I would do well often to take a lesson from her. To live in a state of hope, or to choose to cultivate hope rather than despair, makes life better. It does. If the thing one is hoping or longing for doesn't happen or doesn't happen on time, disappointment may surely result. We all know that life is precarious and fragile and sometimes doesn't turn out the way we want it to. But to anticipate disaster makes us anxious, and to expect despair makes it certain, almost certain, that we will experience despair whether or not calamity happens. This holiday season is a season that urges us to choose otherwise, to choose and to cultivate hopefulness. It also encourages us to help one another do so when our resolve might falter, when it becomes difficult. Also, the progressive nature of this season, that's the part that's about waiting, also encourages us to be patient and resolute, to live each day as it comes, deliberately choosing again and again to lift our hearts, to light that next candle, to view the world and our lives in it in the soft glow that promises to lift or illuminate the darkness. So that really is my simple encouragement to all of us in these weeks, in this season of celebrations. I want to encourage us to nurture hope, even when the news is bad, even when the numbers of infections and deaths, for example, are surpassing their limits day by day. Choose to think about something that is giving you hope in the midst of it all. Make a deliberate action that sets your mind and heart towards an anticipation of newness, of transformation, of the possibilities for life beyond COVID or any of the other threats you may experience. Come back again to the advice of Elizabeth Tarbox that was our reading for today. To live now, to opt for hope over fear, to be silly and laugh loudly, to do something that roots you in the life that is yours with its everyday miracles that may go unnoticed if you're not looking for them. These are the spiritual practices of the season, regardless of our tradition. And I believe that they absolutely will make things better and brighter for us. I want to close with one more story that I heard this week from the world of nature, always a good wisdom teacher for me. I have some good friends who live on a farm outside of Austin, Texas. And they raise, they have lots of different animals on the farm, peacocks and pigs and all that kind of thing, but they have the cutest little goats. I'm always wanting to see the goats when I go to their farm. And this week they posted a story on social media that said, "We have a little miracle to report today." This week at 4 p.m. yesterday, we had 2 healthy male baby goats born. And then after that celebration, over 2 hours later, after their birth, and to our total surprise, this tiny little female goat arrived. Half the size of her brothers, she could not stand or even lift her head, and was having tremendous difficulty breathing. By 10 p.m., she appeared to be unconscious and barely breathing, so we wrapped her in a warm blanket and put her beside her mother and brothers in the hay. This morning, they wrote, "We went out expecting to bury her, but she came running out to meet us. You will understand," they said, "why we have named her Hope." I actually want to show you her picture, because for me, this is an image this season of hope. So this is the little goat Hope. And if you don't think that's cute, then we have to have a conversation later. So this image this season is an image for me of what this is all about. This hanging on to the idea, the conviction that life can persevere and triumph against great odds, and that we need to remember that. So I've put this particular picture on my phone's home screen because I want the regular reminder, and nothing's more regular than me looking at my phone. I want that regular reminder that when things seem dire, I can choose to live in a state of fear and despair or in one of hope and expectation that things can be better again. Whatever might work for you to remind you to choose hope, to practice expecting and anticipating new light and new life, do that intentionally, day by day. Encourage your friends and family to do the same. In other words, participate as fully as you are able in this season in which more people than usual are leaning into hope through ancient traditions and new rituals. On our own and together, let us live in expectation and hope for the new year. And as I play the final piece of music for today, I want to create the space for you to do that right now, actually, for just a few minutes. As this instrumental version of a seasonal classic plays, just reflect for yourselves on something, some little something that you can do in your own home, in your own household, every day to foster hope. Jot down your ideas if you like, put them on your calendar, or simply make a mental note. And then follow through on that in the days to come. Every day, make it a spiritual practice, even if it just takes a minute, to nurture hope. Espere, wait, hope, expect, and may it be so.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Our closing words are from Harold Babcock. And now may we go forth in the certainty of faith, in the knowledge of love, and in the vision of hope. And in our going, may we be blessed with all good things on this day and forevermore. Amen. Our virtual worship has ended, but our connection with one another and the earth endures. Go forward, blessed to be a blessing.